Okay, L'Rell, the Klingon Chancellor, addresses the High Council, which looks a bit more Klingon now than they did last season.
Oh, yeah, that's borne out in a conversation Ash and Michael have about the Klingons growing their hair back, finally.
Yeah. So they kind of lessened the makeup a little bit. They kept, like, some of the different coloring that they put in. But they gave everybody long hair and mustaches and kind of went a little bit yellow peril with the looks a little bit. Well, look, that's where the Klingons kind of came from. They were a cross between communist fear and yellow peril. She shows a projection of the new D7 cruiser, a ship meant for a unified Klingon empire, not house-by-house combat.
Yeah, definitely a ship that we are used to seeing now. The Warbird, it looks like, or at least an early version of it.
Yeah, it's the D7 is what they called it on the original show. I didn't know Klingons used the Roman alphabet, but okay, I'm cool with it. And she says that Voke, which is Ash Tyler with a samurai ponytail and a scruffy beard, will oversee the new ship construction. Colshaw insults Tyler and says, kind of like letting human pets sleep in your bed, kind of making an insinuation of bestiality in a way.
No, that's not how I took it. I took it as, I think, so we know from season 1 of Discovery that Ash Tyler is like two personalities. Volk and the human Ash Tyler. Somehow they put Volk into Ash's body. I think the upper echelon of the Klingons know about that, but they still look at him as human because that's what he looks like. I don't think they necessarily all the way believe Volk's in there. But I think the insinuation was more like, that's a human play toy for you. He should be in the bedroom, not out here doing this.
Oh, see, and the way I kind of read into it, because you remember the previous season, they ate Captain Giorgio, and now they're talking about a human pet. And I was thinking of it, they're kind of pointing out the species difference here, like almost like, you shouldn't be running around things outside the bloodlines, basically, from different worlds. And maybe I read into it a little too far.
I just got it as, because her and Volk had a relationship, and now Volk's inside Tyler, they understand that she probably uses him sexually too, and to keep him in her bedroom for that purpose and not out here doing the political stuff. Your insight could be right too. I don't know.
I kind of was reading into for the most offensive thing you could find, And then Colshaw references the dots as an omen, talks about blood falling on the Klingon Empire. Some more words are exchanged. Tyler threatens Colshaw and attempts to wipe the war paint from his face. I kind of like the way they're handling the Klingons here, because even though the makeup is still different, they are more recognizable to us.
Yeah, I still think they look super weird given how Klingons have been portrayed in the past, but I don't know. My thing is some of them have like super large backs of their heads. It looks weird.
Yeah, they do have that extra pointy melon thing going on.
Yeah, but going back to Ash's move to try to wipe that paint off, I'm surprised I didn't get him killed right there. I was just waiting for it.
Going off of Ash's look here a little bit, because he's a little scruffy. He's got his hair in a top knot. You know the kid that wrote our theme song, Miguel?
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking he might be a Klingon in a human body.
Has he got that same look?
He's got that same look. He's got like scruffy beard and a top knot, listens to like really loud music. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of think Miguel might be a Klingon shaved down into human shape.
Oh, man, maybe.
Weirder things have happened, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so then we cut back to the Discovery. Burnham and Amanda discuss the 7 signals. Amanda reveals Sarek told her about them. Amanda had gone to Starbase 5, and no one would give her an update on Spock or let him see him or give her his personal effects or anything. So she did the only thing a mother could do in that situation. She stole his medical records. Then we cut back to Kronos. L'Rell's uncle, whose name I cannot pronounce, Ujili, I think is what it is, but I'm not 100% sure on that pronunciation.
That's close enough, man.
But it's L'Rell's uncle. He arrives at the Chancellor's residence and refuses to engage with Tyler. Tyler vents his frustration that despite everything he's done in her cause, the other members of the Klingon High Council still don't see him as a true Klingon. Laurel counters that it shouldn't matter what other people think. It should just matter what she thinks. Sounds like a little bit of abusive gaslighting to me, but what the hell?
Well, the conversation you're talking about happens after Tyler's meeting with Laurel's uncle. So Tyler's complaining that every time he walks into a room where Ujili, I guess that's where we're going to go with for his name. Every time he walks in a room with Ujili, everybody stops talking. And so he's frustrated about that. And he starts the whole thing like, what are you not telling me? And this and that. And that's the scene where he finds out he has a kid with Laurel, or at least Volk does.
Oh, but the baby's a little albino, just like he was. And he seems a little disconcerted by the whole process. She lays a big kiss on him, and he kind of acts traumatized, and he tells her that for him that triggers a memory of trauma being suffered at her hands, and everything feels like a violation.
Yeah. Well, he also says, part of me is liking this because I'm Volk, but the human side of me, you may as well just be raping me. That's got to be a weird thing to have those two, I don't know if you'd call them consciousness, but I don't remember exactly what the deal was when they sort of put Volk in Tyler's body, but it's got to be super frustrating for him to have dual memories, I guess, and they are opposite of each other.
Yeah, one where you're in love and one where you were held as like a sex prisoner.
Basically, because that was the whole thing during the last season he was having such a problem with, because he wasn't activated yet. Volk wasn't activated yet. So Ash was getting all these flashbacks of what he perceives as rapes, but Laurel perceives as, making love with Volk.
It's just his memory was all stirred at that point.
Yeah, and it seems like in some way it still is at this point.
Yeah, I've still got a lot of questions about the Ash Tyler character and, what was what, because the way I understood it, there was no Ash Tyler before Volk had his bones shaved and terrifying surgeries done to him, and then a second personality program to him. But then I look at it and go, well, there had to have been an Ash Tyler, otherwise they couldn't have just stuck him on a Federation ship.
Well, at the point that he joined Discovery, and this is all going off like my memory of stuff I watched a while ago and haven't looked into much more, so I could be wrong on my interpretation of this, but if you remember the point at which Ash got on the ship, they were in the middle of a war, so the background checking may have not been super high priority. You look like a human. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at exactly what they did, but to me, it's not very far-fetched that he was able to get on there, especially, like you said, if there was a Ash Tyler already. There obviously had to have been, because there's memories from both Ash and Volk in his body right now.
His set of memories could just be, false memories that were implanted, but for him just to be left as because he was freed by Lorca and brought back to the Discovery, and at some point... Oh,
yeah, because that's when they meet Mudd for the first time.
Yeah. Because at some point, somebody would have hey, let's get your fingerprints and make sure you're not an Orion traitor or something. And so he had to have checked out somewhere with somebody.
Yeah. Or, maybe his false memories were just believable enough to Lorca that they didn't bother, because Lorca was in prison with him, and they went through quite a little bit, as I remember. So it could be that he had that trust built up enough to where it wasn't a thing.
And Lorca kind of had other plans that he was working on. He had his own set of priorities.
Yeah, that's true, too. He was basically like I don't want to say a double agent, but sort of.
Yeah, it was more or less, yeah.